Hey everyone, and welcome to episode 6 of Above the Fold. As always, you got Jeff and Francis here to talk about all things content marketing. Jeff, the data numbers dude, and Francis, the creative guy with more ideas and who's better looking. Thanks again for all the ratings on iTunes and for our listeners. As always, we go through 3 different topics, and we always like to kind of set up these topics with 3 vague kind of, points, words to kind of let you know, and vaguely, ideally, what we're going to talk about. So today's are results, authority, and Moz. Jeff is going to have his first 20-second download in a little bit. For anyone new to the podcast, the 20-second download is essentially 20 seconds to allow your brain to dump any kind of information that comes to you after the question is asked. Jeff Baker, are you ready for your first 20-second download?
Do you mind if I pull that knife out of my back before I answer this
question?
Please.
No, go ahead. Is it stuck in there pretty hard?
Yeah, it's wedged in there pretty well. Thank you.
All right. Well, you should shimmy it on out there, man. It'll be helpful.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm just going to go ahead and limp through this 20-second download.
All right, good.
Yeah, as long as my spirits are down, let's go ahead and...
Yeah, stop stalling.
Give me a couple kicks. Let's go.
Here's your first 20-second download. As always, I'll be timing because I pathetically need that. Here we go. Jeff Baker, when will you see results from content marketing? Go.
Ooh, results. Okay, first off, it depends on when and what you categorize as a result. But typically you should see results within 6 to 8 months, sometimes as long as 18 months, but completely depends on how big your program is. So what you've already got in place. Stop.
That is your 20 seconds. How big is your program, Jeff Baker?
It's, substantial.
Is it sizable? Okay.
To above average, I would say. I dare to say.
Let's stop there before we veer any further into any kind of thing like that. But all right. But results from content marketing. The first number I heard from you, I think, was like 18 months. Is that right?
No. So you can start seeing results and it varies depending on who you talk to. But if you go whole hog into this thing and you actually do it right, meaning you've got campaigns set up, you know exactly what you're doing with SEO, you know what kind of content you need to publish. Everything is, all your T's are crossed, all your I's are dotted. You can start seeing results, tangible monetary results within about 6 months or so. Typically, we don't see that because most people coming into content marketing don't have that full understanding of what they need to do before they come into it. So it can take as long as like 16 to 18 months, which actually we found in an article. I found it in a Inc.com article published by Jeff Pruitt. Says it can take up to 16 months or 18 months, something like that. So it really depends on like how well your setup is and what you've already got in place.
I'm going to ask, I know the answer to this, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Why does it take so dang long? We live in, and I've mentioned this before in other episodes, we live in a world where I can push a button and get pizza delivered. I can get music downloaded on my phone, en route to the subway immediately. Why does it take that long to get results?
It's kind of like a multi-part question. The main thing that comes to mind first is a lot of content marketing is reliant on organic search. And from my research, we're going to get into this a little bit later in terms of research and how long it takes for stuff to start to produce results. It takes anywhere from 50 to 100 days, 50 to 100 days for any piece of content that you post on your website to start showing you its full potential. So a piece of content never really matures until, from a conservative standpoint, about 100 days. And what I mean by that is you're not going to know what your true keyword ranking is for that target piece of content and how many keywords that piece of content is going to rank for. And that's just one piece. If it takes 50 to 100 days to realize the full potential for one piece, think about what it would take for a full marketing program that's starting from scratch. So if you got no blogs at all, and then you go and start publishing, 10 per month, then really it's going to take that much time pushed out before you actually see any results.
And I have to, from the client's perspective, from the client's perspective that maybe is brand new to this, no blogs on the site, maybe it hasn't, not optimized properly, so on and so forth. It can be frustrating. You and I have both been on calls when, regardless of how well the prep was, expectations were set. You get the phrase like, "Hey, it's been 3-4 months. Guys, where is it? Where is the stuff? Where are my numbers? Why hasn't this increased? Why haven't I, why hasn't my bottom line gotten any better?" What do you say? How do you react to a client? How do you present that information, or how do you present the argument that basically is you have to wait?
Well, dude, if you've made it to that point, you've already got one foot in the grave. Like, you need to set expectations right off the bat. Once that conversation comes up, where's my results?
You're already dead.
You're screwed. Yeah, you're already dead. You should have set expectations a long time ago. And really, you should have talked about what are the true goals of your content marketing program. And I don't know. You tell me, what are some of the goals that you typically hear from people when they're first starting their content marketing program?
The typical ones, more leads, more engagement. Big one is more traffic. When you have one that just says, "I want more traffic,"
well, see, that's a stupid goal. That's that's a problem. So you can't even project out results if you have stupid results that you're measuring. Stupid equals stupid. So you need to go in with an understanding of what types of results you really want. And traffic is not a result that you really want. What you really want is to make your money back off of content marketing, and you want more money on top of that, right? That's how investments work. You want an investment to make you more money. So ideally, what you'll see is more leads, right? So that is what I would consider a good goal.
I know. We've had this experience before where you just hear from people. I want my traffic to be at this level. I want more traffic. I think because they would want to point at a number and say, "I was here and now I'm here and things are going to get better." Where you and I know, to be fair, in the early seasons of Brafton season 2 or 3, traffic was probably a goal a lot of our clients wanted, and at that point in time, call it 2009, 2010, that was likely the only kind of data point people were really paying attention to. What is your traffic? Whoa, you went up 50% this month. Good for you. But it's wildly changed since then. Great, you have more traffic, but what is that? What has it done? Has anything converted off this traffic? Do you get more engagement? Are people talking about you? Does it matter? I don't know. I see that in the first, I react this, and I shouldn't. I react viscerally to it, and I think, there's got to be more that you want or need besides an uptick in percentage in traffic.
Well, I think we all do, and it's a trap, really. Everybody likes to see charts that go up and to the right and green numbers in Google Analytics. It feels like a success more than seeing red numbers. And a good example was back when I first started this job, and for those of you that aren't familiar, I do the marketing for our brand, for the Brafton brand. We actually cut a bunch of high traffic keywords. So actually, my first order of business was cutting 20% of our traffic, which looks terrible, right? That would be
it sounds insane. It sounds insane, but I totally understand why. Yeah,
fire that guy. What are you doing? But it turns out our conversions almost doubled. So yeah, we cut off a bunch of traffic, but in its place, we replaced it with higher intent types of visitors that are actually looking to buy our services rather than, just learn what content marketing is. So what this all comes down to is having the right mindset in what your goals are, and your goals should always be tied to money. So figure that out. How do you tie your goals to money? So measure the conversions that you get on your website. Figure out what sources they're coming from. Are they coming from content marketing programs? and then attribute a dollar amount to that based on how much business is closing from that. And it's actually pretty simple arithmetic if you start drawing some close lines to revenue. It's actually simpler than looking at bounce rates and looking at time on site and all these other what we call vanity metrics that are super easy to report on. And by the way, if you're working with an SEO company, all it takes is like a tweak of the time frame of 2 to 3 days, and they can turn that red number into a green number in a snap, and it looks great. So just beware when you're assessing your results and what you consider, a win. That could be happening.
Bottom line, always replace it with money and show Jeff Baker the green. I think that's our takeaway for the first download. Let's move on. Let's move on to the second.
All right, 20 seconds. Let me get my timer ready for you. Here we go. How do you bring authority into a piece of content? Go.
I think that starts with sourcing, and sourcing could mean something that's found online. Maybe it comes directly from an interview, but authority comes from where you find it. Ideally, maybe even from yourself, if you happen to be an authority / expert in a certain field, or if you have.
Hey, you just run over with reckless abandon. I don't think you've ever really come close to taking a breath.
No, I don't. And funny enough, I have the timer going for myself too. I don't even look at it. I'm actually looking somewhere else and I just start talking. And I think part of it is my brain is just ping-ponging all over the place, trying to figgle out what I want to say.
Well, you're a head in the clouds kind of writer. So I mean.
Oh, am I? Is that what's, that's what you're getting out of that?
A little bit. All right, let's get into this. You talked about bringing authority. The reason why I bring up this conversation is because there was a big algorithm update back in August 1st of this year that absolutely smoked a whole bunch of websites within a few different categories. And one that got hit the hardest was health. So we've got a whole bunch of websites like Dr. Axe.
Livestrong, I think was one of them on that list.
Livestrong was another one. Yeah, like Wellness Mind, something like that. Yeah, you get the idea. There's a lot of health and like holistic style websites that got absolutely killed. And this is pure speculation. However, one of the speculations on this was that Google targeted these websites for what's called EAT signals, EAT, expertise, authoritativeness, and trust. So one of the theories being bounced around is that this content was not authoritative enough. So how they go about judging that, I don't know. So that's kind of why I brought up the question to you. How do you judge and how do you go about creating authoritative content that people are going to say, yeah, these guys know what they're talking about?
It's interesting. It's health based websites that you're bringing up because historically, those industries have always been the hardest in terms of writing from authoritative angle. Part of that is that there's certain things you can and can't say. Like for instance, I can't tell you, hey, take vitamin D and your health will be 50% better. I can't do that. I can make suggestions, I can do whatever, but there are rules. There's FDA rules that say that I'm not allowed. I'm not allowed to kind of write something like that.
Well, so what if you're writing for a holistic website that doesn't, like a supplement website that doesn't necessarily need to follow that FDA guidance, or do they? I
think they do, man. You cannot. Essentially, you're making a promise. It's the same thing with education. You can't say a master's in whatever is going to guarantee you this job and this salary. You can say people who have this degree have gotten this job or this type of position, but you can't guarantee it. It's almost as if if you buy this coffee mug, every single sip of coffee is going to be fantastic, and you're going to be awake for 6 hours every day. You can't. That's a ridiculous promise, but you can't make these promises.
That's true. I verified that. That is a truth.
It just does not work. Not work at all. But it's funny. It's that website because historically it has been an issue. And, we have to have these same conversations with the writers as well as with clients as to what can and can't be said in regard to any health benefit from a product or service. I can understand the speculation, and I can see how and why it happened. I guess I don't know. I mean, how does Google kind of figure out authority? What judge do they have? How are they figuring that? I don't think anyone really knows, but it is interesting that it's that industry.
Well, how do you get around that, man? Like, you're not a doctor. No offense.
No, not even close.
You are definitely you're no PhD. You're a somewhat allegedly bright guy, but you're no PhD. And
keep going. Yeah, let's pile it on.
No. Yeah. That's enough. I think that's plenty. Most of the writers that work for you are not PhDs in the content that the field that they're writing in. So how do you go about creating content that is authoritative without that PhD? Because you can't have doctors writing content, or else there would be no doctors, right? They are busy.
There wouldn't be
doctors. They're busy doing what it is that they know best. So there needs to be content writing, and there needs to be authority with that. So what do you do? How do you reconcile that?
So that there's two different things there. There is tone/voice, authoritative tone and voice, as well as expertise within the industry. If you just separate those two, authoritative tone, that can be done with the way you phrase something, the way you format, the way you approach the content. There's a difference between being authoritative in the way you write versus being too casual. In that respect, that's a writing skill. That's a way to approach with certain words or phrases. That's something in general that a writer can do, that a writer should be able to do. The other element that you're bringing in, the expertise, that happens through research. That can happen through interviews, where you interview someone and that their authoritative voice gets pulled into the rest of the article, in with the writing expertise that a person has. That's that happy medium. That's that marriage that has to exist. If you think of this in a chart, which I know is the only way you can think of anything, or even a Venn diagram.
Oh, blow.
I just want to push the knife even further. You have to consider the fact that there are realms that are outside of that happy medium. A PhD in astrophysics is going to be better at maybe explaining that field, than a content writer, because that is a very niche and very, highly specialized field. To be able to bring that into a content marketing campaign, likely not happening unless that doctor is actually doing the writing. But as you mentioned, let's pile on some more on the doctor. Let's pile some more onto that expert and in terms of his or her busy day, and have them also do content marketing. This doesn't work. And then you have the question, why are you doing content marketing in the astrophysics field? I mean, another rabbit hole you want to go down into. But in general, that's kind of how it happens. And going back to what you said before, it takes time. This isn't something that happens in one blog post or two or five. It gets developed. The authority and the knowledge to be able to use that in the campaign takes a little bit of time. But right, once it matures, it's great.
We're coming up on time here, so just give me a summary. You have to write content as an authority. You don't necessarily have doctors and the experts writing content because they don't get paid to write content, right? So give me just 2 or 3 tips that the audience can take away for you to achieve that. Techniques that you can use to extract that expertise and get it in the content.
One, best place is the interview. Interviewing your subject matter experts, getting their take, fusing that into the content within the campaign is the absolute best way to do it. Beyond that, doing the research, going to authoritative sources, the right sources, to gain that knowledge and to develop that over time. And I guess that goes into the third, developing it over time, making sure that the campaign is long enough. It has got a long runway to be able to kind of mature. And that's kind of how to bridge that gap. Nicely
summed up. Okay. That'll bring us into last question of the day.
Number 3. Number 3. This needs a little background. You, Jeff Baker, recently wrote an article featured on Moz, more than 3,000 words, a little over 3,000 words, which must have been hard for you.
Substantial.
3,000
above
words
average blog post
of data rich, content. You have 20 seconds to explain what that 3,000 plus article is about. Go.
Okay, so we took 6 months of data in which we published over 50 blog posts, and we determined the correlations between where we ranked for our target keywords and different factors, like how long the blog posts were, how long they were live, the difficulty of the keywords that we targeted, all kinds of different.
Stop.
I almost
Stop.
got it. Almost got it.
No.
Almost.
That was a lot of science talk, man. You were bringing a lot of science into a content marketing conversation. So let's be clear. This article, which was I think recent, it came out yesterday, correct?
Correct.
Yesterday being August 14th for everyone who's listening in the future. Came out August 14th. Like I said, 3,000 plus words. The basic premise is that you looked at 6 different programs that look at keyword difficulty, correct? And you basically ranked them.
That's right. So that was kind of a byproduct of it. So let me not act like, a big fancy pants over here, just crunching numbers. Let me tell you how this actually went down. I was sitting in a bar in Boston and I thought, damn, you know what? We've written a ton of blog posts in the last year, and we've been targeting very specific keywords for every single one. Like every blog post targets one specific keyword, and we do everything in our power to optimize for that keyword to make it rank. So we've got a really, really good control group here. It's a very known quantity. So I thought, all right, what if we just figured out a way to document where we rank for all of the keywords that we rank for? And then we throw in all of these other factors and see what relationships there are between those factors. And one of them was the keyword difficulty score for all of the keyword research tools out there. And let me explain that. Most keyword research tools out there nowadays have or should have an organic difficulty score attached to each keyword, which basically says, how hard is it if I'm going to try to rank for this keyword? How hard is it for me to rank for this keyword? And nobody's ever asked if any of these tools ever works. Nobody's even really tested them. So I thought, well, what if we just match up where we rank for each keyword against how difficult each one of these tools says that keyword is on a scatter plot and see which of these are the most accurate.
So just to bring it down, I have to imagine that if you are looking at a common keyword or a common phrase, the difficulty is higher.
True.
Whereas something that's more specific, maybe even original, a little easier because maybe there's only one of that phrase out there in the internet. And these are the tools that pretty much spit out, hey, dude, this is how hard it's going to be for you to rank on that certain phrase or keyword.
Yeah, correct. And ideally what you want to do is find a keyword that has a good combination of search volume. I mean, you don't want, there's no sense in targeting a keyword that nobody cares about, and low keyword difficulty. So it says 2 things. 1, people actually care about it. And 2, you can actually rank somewhere meaningful for it. And that's important because ranking number 1 in search usually gets you 30% of clicks for all the searches. So if there's 100 searches per month for your keyword and you rank number 1, you get 30 clicks. That's pretty good, especially if it's like a commercial intent keyword where people are buying. That's awesome. Now, if you rank on page 2, that drops down to 0.5%. So that means you get half of 1 click per month. So it makes a damned big difference where you rank. That's why this kind of math is important. This kind of conversation should have been happening a long time ago, but it never was.
I have to imagine I probably already know the answer to this already, but there's no back door into being able to jump onto the first page. There's no way to kind of game the system. And this is why these programs kind of exist.
So you're asking if there's a way to get past the goalie, just like
basically that's what I'm asking.
Just slide
it
in
right through.
With,
goalie has no idea. Whoa, right. How did that happen? You're on page 1.
Yeah. No, not really. I mean, if you've got a somewhat savvy SEO that you work with, and they're able to figure out those combinations of keywords, those niche keywords that have low difficulty scores and high search volume, yeah, you've got opportunities to take there. Definitely. You have to write good content, which, that's when it gets kicked to your side of the field, in order to satisfy, the intent of the readers. And Google says, yes, this is, like we talked about earlier, this is an authoritative piece of content that we want to rank. So, I mean, all those things still have to happen. So that just goes to prove you have to have the math to start the conversation, to figure out like what to write on. And then you have to have the creative to actually execute on that.
I want to call out something else though. The fact that the inception of this idea happened at a bar. Like, you're sitting at the bar just thinking about, I wonder if I dove deeper into this, data, what would happen? I don't think we were together. That's got to be known. I don't think you and I were at the bar and this revelation came to you. I mean, were you alone just thinking about content marketing data? Is that what happens when you're at the bar by yourself?
This is going to be a revealing segment, isn't it? Yes, it is a regular thing that happens. And no, we haven't had any. You and I, have we ever had a profound moment at the bar? No, it's like, do you like your...
To be fair, yes. No, we have. We just forget the profound moments because we don't take notes. We should record ourselves or do something because we've had a lot of great ideas at the bar. They're just lost afterwards.
Okay, next time you bring the, whatchamacallit, the
bottle of scotch?
No, the camera that you put on your head that the guy was like filming himself hugging lions. What the hell is that thing?
Like a GoPro?
A GoPro, yeah. Those things still around?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're still
right, you bring a GoPro next time and we'll hit the bottle. No, I was sitting at a bar and I was trying to figure out that dawned on me that this idea could happen. We could draw relationships between where you rank for keywords and like how long a blog post has been live and all those kind of things. But I had no idea what to do with it. I had no idea how to report on those numbers. And I literally sat at a bar and I had to relearn statistics because I was, not very present during my statistics classes that I had to take. So I was just online Googling stuff like, how do I understand relationship between variables and going down the wrong path? And it took about 3 or 4 beers to determine how I needed to run the statistics. And that's all.
So about an hour. It took about an hour.
About an hour. So yeah, that's all factored into the time. Definitely.
All joking aside, I mean, reading it's a lot. It's a lot of information. There's a lot of good data. And the fact that no one has really done this, I think is the most compelling part. Actually, that's not the most compelling. The most compelling part is that this is the beginning. This is essentially, this is the top of the iceberg. And there's a hell of a lot more stuff for you to dive into in the future in terms of what you uncover with all this data. I mean, have you started poking around already? Are you spelunkling through the cave of, I probably pronounced that wrong, but whatever. I think have you started poking around?
Whatever. To be honest with you, I'm a little gun shy on spelunking. It's a little dark and scary. So I'm not sure if I'm there yet. However, I have. And actually this was the whole keyword research thing. That was a byproduct of this. What I really wanted to know is how long it takes content to start performing and start to rank. So all that data is pulled and we have a whole bunch of those correlations created. However, this, like you mentioned, this thing was a tome. This was a 3,000 word monster that spanned like 22 pages and took me a month and 3 beers at a bar to learn how to even write about. So it really needed to be broken down into separate topics. So this is going to be a follow-on to this entire research piece.
I look forward to it, and I think, I mean, we're right up against the time now. I think the only takeaway here is read the article, embrace it, dive in there with Jeff. What is the title the article? I don't have it right up in front of me, but
ranking.
Do you know right off the top?
Yep, it is. It's Moz. It's the Moz blog, and it's ranking the 6 most accurate keyword difficulty tools. And these are all major tools that pretty much anybody that's in the industry will use pretty regularly.
Talking about the major tools of the industry by a major tool of the industry.
Wow, you
Jeff
are
Baker.
Really, really digging in deep today, aren't you? You're just
I'm back from vacation. I just came out swinging. I
fully
couldn't help
rested and just...
To be fair, you said major tool. I had no choice. You set me up. That's technically your fault. Absolutely. We are at the end of our time here. Thank you for everyone who listens. As always, subscribe. Please rank on iTunes. Rank our podcast on iTunes. It's always a help. I've been told by Jeff that we have a Twitter handle now. Is that true?
We do. We are at BakerPod. Sorry, this is all about me.
Stop owning it, man. Come on.
It's all about
bring
me.
it back. Bring it back.
BakerPod. Yeah, BakerPod. It's Brafton
at
Pod.
Brafton Pod. It's at Brafton Pod.
Yeah.
Get your head right. Come on, man.
Maybe I need that vacation.
Oh, God. All right. At Brafton Pod on Twitter. Please tell Baker his head's getting too big. And as always, give us some feedback, suggestions, compliments, more importantly, complaints. And until next time, see you all later.
See ya.